And hello. Welcome to the Absolute Football Podcast. It is the absolutely non-league show, of course, in partnership with our friends at NL Full Time, talking everything National League and National League South and National League North for you. We've got some games. Postponements have gone, hopefully. We've actually got a lot of games to talk to you about, so it's very, very exciting. I'll introduce our guests in a minute. We do have more people potentially sort of coming on. It's going to be a sort of a bus stop this week of people coming on and off. So we've got some exciting guests to keep your eyes on, so don't go anywhere. But of course, who's going to be with me through the entire of the show? The man in the middle, the joyful man himself, Rob. Welcome to you. How are you doing?
Yeah, really good, Sam. Thank you. I picking up on something you said in the intro. Just feels like we're kind of back to normal. We had a Saturday with just National League fixtures, and the one before was so chaotic with the FA Trophy and the FA Cup as well, for those that were still in it. But yeah, good, great to see you. Great to be on this show, and hopefully at some point we might have double this many people. But if things go really well.
There will be. Exactly. Watch this space for sure. And there's a man I never tire of seeing and enjoy podcasting with. It's my good friend Ben is here. How are you doing, buddy?
Yeah, I'm all right, thank you. I think I can go with Rob. Hopefully we're going back into a bit of normality. We finally played our first game of 2026 on Saturday. It felt like a lifetime. It has nearly 3 weeks in the making. But yeah, no, I'm all good, thank you. Nice to be back and just chatting some football on the old non-league podcast. What could be better, right?
Exactly. What could be
Spoiler
better?
alert, there was more red cards than goals in Ben's game.
Yeah, it was. Touch on that in a bit.
Nice and feisty. We like it. And it's not just us, it's the wonderful people joining us in the chat. And Graham, who's been a member. He's been a member of the channel for 9 months. Congratulations, Graham, and thank you for your support. And saying good evening to us. Lovely to see you, Graham. North Standers with us as well. Evening to you. Evening to Steve. And evening to Pluto and beyond as well. Thank you for joining us. Looking forward to having you guys in the chat. And say, if you're new to the show, by all means, get your comments in, get your match reports in. If there's anything you want to share from anything that you saw at the weekend or just want to get involved, do in the comments. We love the interaction of everybody. But I'm going to hand over to the knowledgeable man, Mr. Ben. If you're happy to kick off with National League South, does that sound a good place to start?
Well, yeah, can do. Like I say, we've, as Rob just alluded to, been quite a few red cards over the weekend, not just in our game, but we'll talk about that in a bit. I guess, Rob, we can start off with you. Any standouts from the National League South for you over the weekend?
Yeah, for a couple of reasons. One, because it was continued fine, recent form, and they've really pulled clear of trouble. And also because it's very fresh in my mind, because their manager and their player manager was on our pod yesterday, Scotty Davis. A 3-0 win for Slough in form, playoff placed Hemel Hempstead. A real eye-opening scoreline and result for them. One of those games, Scotty said that in the first 10, 15 minutes, it felt like Slough were the poor away version of themselves, and Hemel were going through the gears. But goals can change games, and a little bit of a mix-up at the back meant that Slough took full advantage and scored, and they never really looked back from there. And I think, I haven't got the form in front of me right now, but I think it's like 4 out of 5, something like that for Slough. And they've risen up from about 22nd place to kind of 17th, I think it is now, isn't it? It's 7 points clear. That's what I do know. 7 points clear. And yeah, it was a very relieved Scotty Davis. Particularly, he's been beating himself up all week because they went to Chippenham. He played defensively. It went wrong. They lost. And that just shows you in football, thank goodness, sometimes the next round game comes around quickly, right?
Yeah, definitely. I think I could have lose that, and that's probably the result I was going to go for as well. Victor Mikowski getting a couple of goals again for Slough. Man is sort of hitting a bit of form again, as I know he can do. And yeah, I'm pleased for Scott Davis, because I knew they wouldn't be stuck for too long down there. They are one of those sides that do seem to, keep in the mix. Like I say, they're very well established now at this level, and like I say, Scotty Davis has got a way of developing the young players and moving them onto bigger clubs. And again, they've gone from losing to the bottom of the league on a Tuesday night to going, to a side that have been, brilliant, to be fair, all season. And 3-0 that not many sides will go and do at Hemel this year. Steve, of course, who's a Slough fan, has sent his match report in. He's gone, I think it's just that one actually, from Hemel, much improved from Chippenham. played on the front foot and actually got a result, as opposed to sitting there on our 6-yard box and waiting for them to score. Yeah, I think that's totally agree. I think it just shows that you can't go to any side in this league and, like I say, even if whether they're bottom. I mean, to be honest, in that circumstance, I would have a bit surprised that Slough wouldn't have gone a bit more attacking really against a side that are struggling for points and don't score enough goals. So that's probably the biggest outcome they probably could have hoped for. But as I say, it's a huge 3 point for Slough. As we say, they've moved away now from the bottom four. Another one as well, to be fair, which has caught my eye actually a little bit. Tunbridge Angels winning 4-1 against AFC Totton. Totton have been a bit hit and miss, I think, in the last couple of months or so. I think they've had a lot of injuries, but I think Tunbridge, that's a big 3 points for them after conceding late at Enfield last week. They really needed that, didn't they, Rob?
Yeah, they certainly did, and that's a big lift. Tunbridge and Slough, with the 3 points that they both got, they moved up to 31 points, which means that as we'll see in the table in a little while, they've gone 7 points clear. So they couldn't outwit each other, but they did outwit the rest at the bottom end of the table. Totton, not sure. Don't see enough of them. Scotty Rendell came on our podcast a couple of months ago. I think they were still ticking along all right then. They led the fledgling table, didn't they? And had a really good start and then stuck around in the top 7. But now they have dropped down to 13th place. And just by way of contrast, Totton are just 5 points clear of those two sides we've just talked about now, Tunbridge and Slough. So, it's almost like a little mini season within a season. I was going to ask you, Ben, what your take is on Maidenhead, because one of the things that Scotty said to us last night was we were talking about Maidenhead's form staying pretty good, even though Dev has gone. And yes, they've got the continuity with Peters in charge. But he said, continuity in that sense. But the word is out. They're playing a different type of football now, Maidenhead. They're getting the ball on the floor and they're playing some football and they're doing it pretty well. They're almost doing it, dare I say, in the Boreham Wood way in the division above, scoring 2s and 3s and not conceding many.
Yeah, I mean, it's always a big risk, I think, when you change it for during the season, because you've got a way you want to go about it. You brought players in to do a specific job, and maybe it doesn't quite go to plan. Then you do maybe go for for that sort of circumstance, really. But no, I think they've come onto it really well. They've had a couple of good results, picking up a good win against Horsham, away from home, which not many sides do. They're a very hard side to beat. And Enfield, again, that maybe the table doesn't speak for itself. They are a hard team to play against, I found, when we went there earlier in the season. So they are, slowly ticking away at those points and keeping them within that top 7, which is really what they need to do. I've just been past an important message, just taking away from it slightly. Sam, I believe we have a special guest in our stream waiting to come on, and I think it's someone we'd be quite happy to see.
We do indeed. I can, without any bias whatsoever, this is definitely the introduction of my favourite person ever on the podcast, and possibly the best introduction ever for the return of our wonderful, the amazing, the super Shah is here. And if I can find the right button, we'll be bringing it back right now.
Hello. How is everyone?
How are you, Shah? We're buzzing to have you back on.
I'm good, thank you. I just want to pre-warn everyone as well. I may be a bit rusty. It's been a while. But I know a lot about Rochdale.
Great to see you back, Shah. So good to see you back.
Thank
and
you.
Hopefully you're just feeling a little bit of a sense of normality with Rochdale actually playing a game. We'll come on to them, of course.
I know. And our pitch is done. Our pitch is done.
Hey.
Oh, no. What do you mean? It's done for again or not?
No, it's completed.
Honestly, this is really weird seeing it on the other side. Me hosting and you
I
in
know.
the stream.
I like it. I might get too comfortable and used to this.
You get to just sit back now, Shah, and just be like, ask me a
Might
question.
go and put the kettle on.
Brilliant stuff. Thank you so much for coming back.
Thanks very much, Shah.
No, thank you for having me.
No, that's
well,
good.
I think that's the thing. As we got you here, is there any stand-ups at all? We'll probably throw you straight into the deep end. Any stand-ups for you from the National League South for you?
Obviously, I don't know if you've mentioned it, but everybody knows my alliance is to Hemel Hempstead. But obviously, two of my favourite managers, Lee Allinson, Scott Davis, and Slough, winning 3-0. I mean, a very, very good result. I know obviously Hemel did have a man sent off, but very good win for Scott Davis's men. And obviously two of our podcast favourite managers as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And fun enough, we should have given Chara a clue, shouldn't we? But we'd only talked about 2 games, and that was one of them. But
Damn.
no, you're absolutely right. And just a little heads up for you, Shah. I know I've already mentioned it on the pod, but I know you love Scotty Davis. He was on our pod yesterday, and that's come out today. So give it a listen when you
I will definitely give that a listen. And I loved the quiz as well.
Oh, bless you.
I loved the quiz. I did. It did make me laugh.
Oh, that's so good. Well, you're coming on the next one, all right? You were laying low at the time, but next time we do one, I'll commit to you now in front of all our others that you're coming on. I'm telling you now, right?
I do crumble under pressure, though. I will let you know now. When it comes to quizzes and stuff, I'm not very good. I'm like, I don't know if any of you have watched Friends, but I'm like Joey out of Friends on the quiz show. The paper, snow, a ghost, and just shout out random things. So that is me.
Oh, okay. Oh, brilliant. Anyway, Ben, back to you. Sorry, mate.
No. You're absolutely fine. I mean, I might as well touch on our games, to be honest, while we're here. I would have loved to have Joe's opinion. I know he said to me he didn't go to the game, but it was nothing short of entertaining, to be fair, for a 1-1 draw. I don't think it tells the whole story. And as you said at the start, Rob, more red cards than goals. Very rarely that will happen.
Very late, though, weren't they? For the 2 Torquay ones were very late on, weren't they?
They were, yeah. I mean, that's the thing. I think, before the 90-minute market, I would have been very happy with a point because I think we dug in so well. We did with 10 men. It was a tough game. I think I was speaking to a Torquay fan before the game, and he always says because they're our, we're their bogey team. They never beat us. They've beat us once in the last 19 games we played against them, and he's saying it's not even just the fact that you keep beating us; it's the fact that we never perform against you as well. And I think he got a little bit of a better wish this time because that was probably the best I've seen Torquay play against us for quite a number of years, to be honest. I think they knocked the ball about so well. They got the danger men. They were very much, exploiting our wide areas very quickly with Dylan Morgan and Jordan Young. They did cause us a number of issues in the first half, and the goal we sort of scored was against the run of play. Riley Court, been a man who's just come on so much, in such a short space of time. And at 19 years old, struck a beautiful free kick from 25 yards out. Nothing really that James Hammond could have done about it. And that's the thing. We always seem to nick a goal. That's the second season in the row we've gone to Torquay, and the goal we've scored is from a free kick. So, yeah, absolutely brilliant from that. Couldn't hold on for too long. Dylan Morgan equalised. Probably, a soft goal from our point of view. And we sort of had to weather a storm a little bit. They did threaten quite a bit. Put a lot of balls in the box, but didn't really ask too many questions of us. But then obviously the game sort of turned its head right before half time with David Cisse getting sent off, and I'm pretty sure that the club are looking to appeal it because for me it's not a red card. I think there's been a bit of a scuffle, and where Cisse's grabbed hold of James Hammond's shirt. He's actually been very clever with it, to be fair, Hammond. He sort of pulled his hand, pulled Cisse's hand towards him to initiate the contacts. So I think that didn't go down very well. He's straight red for it. Ah, Claire, lovely to have you in here. Of course, you'd be here for me.
Yeah, just quickly on that, I did get Joe's opinion, which came through his dad. His dad goes every game he gives the report, and strangely enough, I think a similar feeling amongst the Torquay fans. I think it's one of those days where a 1-1 draw, there was a certain amount of contentment with the result from both clubs' point of view. The real winners from that, for me, are Enfield Town, who Torquay play next, because now they're going to face Torquay without Louis Dennis and without Jordan Young, is it?
Yeah, Jordan Young, he'll be out for 1 game, and Louis Dennis will be out for 3 games as well. Sam, you said you've got something to pull up. You have a super chat, is it? Oh wow, look at that! Thank you very much, Neil, for contributing that. Absolutely brilliant. And like I would say, we're absolutely thrilled to have our show back on the show. Absolutely amazing. And just like I say, going back to it, I mean, second half, we have sort of, and the best thing about a George Elokobi side is he's brilliant at playing, when we're the underdogs. And he said that, we know how to set up when we go down to 10 men. He already plans for it. And, you know, we got our shape absolutely spot on, restricted them to a lot of balls across the box, maybe a bit fortunate at times. But they didn't really, I mean, bar, you know, really good tip over the bar from Nathan Harness from Young's free kick. They didn't offer too much, to be fair. And we looked so effective on the counter-attack as well. It was nice to have Mohamedou Fall back from what, you know, we've got back this season.
Great
Absolutely.
yeah.
I know it was absolutely thrilling to have him back. You know, he's such probably one of the best people I've met in non-league football. You know, he's so humble, he's so hardworking, and he did look a little bit off the pace. I mean, he hasn't played for. He said he's only played about 200 worth of minutes of football since the playoff game last season, so he needs a bit of time to get up to scratch, and we probably saw that. But yeah, no, it was great to have him back amongst the ranks. And then, as I say, it's all sort of changed again right before the end, where it's just gone into absolute chaos, to be honest. It looked like it was going to be 1-1, not a lot to separate us. And then Louis Dennis decides to grab John Gilbert in a headlock, gets himself sent off. And then not even 60 seconds later, Jordan Young reckons he should have had a corner, which, again, it's hard to tell from the highlights, to be honest, of the angle of it. He's had a few choice words with the linesman. Second yellow card sent off, and then all of a sudden, with 5 minutes of added time or so, I'm going, actually, we could probably nick this now. So we've gone from being happy with a point, let's go for it, let's get the 3 points. And we had a couple of good chances, to be fair. You know, again, a couple of headers that, again, if we just directed them just a little bit more accurately, we could have really caused a problem. I mean, Hamza Cargo, who's been our super sub, you know, missed a glorious chance with probably the last kick of the game. He didn't let the header fall down almost long enough, if that makes sense. You know, he probably could have waited an extra half a second and he probably would have scored the winner. But look, I would have taken a point, to be fair. You know, even going there before the game, Torquay had been very good at home. They picked up a brilliant result against Hampton last week, scored 4 tremendous goals. And then, like I say, it's, you know, we haven't played for a good 2 or 3 weeks, you know, competitively. We had a friendly last week, which was just to get minutes in the players.
Almost as long as Rochdale then, yeah?
I know.
Yeah, well, it's just been our luck that we haven't had a game at all. It's just like we've obviously the FA Cup as well didn't help because obviously Western, we were meant to be playing Western, but they had Grimsby, so yeah, obviously that didn't help our cause. But no, look, it was a point. I think it's one of those we can say we've ticked off. You know, it's a good point on the road. Obviously, just a few angry supporters at the end to be dealt with and that. And like I say, I mean, yeah, it's just, you know, we keep going. Like I say, we've got a big one this weekend against Hemel, which hopefully they'll be a bit wounded from their defeat against Slough. So we'll see about that, to be honest. Going back into the league and, you know, the rest of the league, any other standouts people want to pick up on at all? It's good with the Chelmsford actually against Western-super-Mare. A little bit of an FA Cup hangover maybe?
I was going to suggest that as well because they've been doing really well. Have you heard Western-super-Mare at the minute? Obviously been doing really, really well. And like you said, Ben, maybe a little bit of a hangover from the FA Cup. And yeah, hopefully they'll be back to winning ways, but a really, really good win from Chelmsford. A little bit of a shocker as well. But another one that I did want to point out, I don't know if you've already mentioned it, was obviously Hornchurch are still doing very well at the top, aren't they? Second in the league, I think. I'm trying to wing it.
They are.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've been on. I was like, I'm sure they're second. But yeah, still doing very, very well, Hornchurch. But yeah, I think that's about it, to be honest. I don't know if you've got any, Rob.
Yeah, definitely. No, those are 2 that we definitely needed to pick up on. That's for sure. I think we also should mention, you know, when you look at it, it has changed a bit who's up the top there in the south, but there are certain ones that are almost bankers that they're going to be there and thereabouts come the end of the season. I think Torquay are in that group. Hornchurch have shown throughout the whole season that they're right up there, and Dorking as well. And I don't know if Mark would agree, but there are quite a lot of components of last season that have come to play in this season with a really, really high injury list in the first half of the season. A lot of player unavailability, but ticking over and staying amongst it. And, you know, Dorking, they sit 5th, but they're just 3 points off the top of the league, despite all their challenges. And, of course, all the teams have had their challenges. But at times, some of Dawkins have been beyond a joke, you know. They went to Hampton and Richmond, and you talked about your 2 favourite managers. Well, I love Scotty as well. But Douse against Mark White, I mean,
yeah,
two of the most genuine guys in upper non-league football. I'm so pleased. I said it a couple of weeks ago to see Dowse back at Hampton Richmond, but he's got a real job on his hands there, hasn't he? They are in the bottom four, as we'll see in a bit, but they're the best placed of those teams. But you've got some competition down there as well with Tommy Witherington's Eastbourne. They're not going to go away. They were obviously seen off by Hornchurch on this particular week. But we should mention Worthing and Horsham because they've both been up there all season. And I think a little bit of an irony, I think, in one of the goal scorers in this one, Ben, the chap who scored for Horsham against Worthing, Ricky Aguiar, wasn't it? Pretty sure he's been at both clubs, right?
Yeah, I think so. And like I say, I think he's had his loan extended as well from York City, which again has been a huge bonus for us. So then at this stage of the season now, you don't want to lose key players, particularly in the position that Horsham are in, where, again, their aim, and I'm sure Dom DePallo would agree, saying, look, their aim is just to get to that 50-point mark, and then anything else is an absolute bonus for them. If they make the playoffs, then that's a huge achievement for a club of their size, for their first ever season at this level. And again, going to Worthing, to be honest, they've had a little bit of a rocky patch. They have obviously drawing to bottom of the league, Chippenham the other week, losing a 9-goal thriller against Salisbury last Saturday. So they're sort of maybe hitting that purple patch that maybe we'd always expect them to at some stage. But it's a case of how they react to it. Look, they are still well amongst it. They're still top of the table, albeit Hornchurch and Weston have got a game in hand. And Weston have been hugely boosted as well this week with the contract extension of Louis Britton, which I know Bristol Rovers were sneaking around. But I'm pretty sure a lot of their fans seem to be thinking so anyway. And for the amount of goals he's been scoring, the creativity he's provided for them, that's a huge plus for them. The fact they've got him now at least to the end of the season. I think it's the next season as well. So there's been a few moments. Well, I mean, obviously you mentioned Dorking as well, Rob. Paul McCallum going to Dorking on loan. What are we making of that? That's a huge coup for a club at this level, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it's really, 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 really good business, isn't it, Shah? I mean, he's been the top goal scorer and the top player in the National League on a number of occasions. I think if you were looking at an all-time, across 10 years National League side of the year, you'd have McCallum and you'd have Cheek up front because they just do it year in, year out. He's had a few injury niggles this season, to be fair. He's also had a little bit of an issue more latterly at Eastleigh, where Harvey Saunders has been doing so well, and therefore he was on the bench. But I actually watched his debut. He ended up having his debut in a midweek game against a mixed Bromley side last week. And I watched the stream of that, and Dorking did a lovely move involving, I think, 8 outfield players, which resulted in a cross to the far post. You know what then happened? Paul McCallum held off his marker and headed it in. And he'll be really useful for them. But hey, he didn't score, did he? And Pat Casey did again. This is the youngster that's from Charlton that Mark White stood brazenly on social media and said, Charlton, we're appealing to you. We want your young striker on loan. And it happened. He came in, and I think he's near enough netted a goal per game, Ben, hasn't he, since he's come in?
Yeah, which is a bit unfortunate because we had him for a month and he did absolutely nothing. So, I mean, to be fair to him, he had a bit of a shocker at Tottenham where he won a penalty, I think, and he wanted to take it, and he'd only been on the pitch for 5 minutes. And obviously George didn't like that, and he got the strop about it, and then he took him off again. And then all of a sudden he just never really got a chance, which you almost think to yourself, what if he was given, a good 2 or 3 games to really, get amongst, our setup and that. But then again, the style of play at Dorking might suit him better than what we do. Because obviously we're very much get it forward, get it in the wide areas, be, effective on the counter attack. Whereas Dorking, as you say, they like to play it from the back. They will pass it around, find the right move and find that, right moment to play that through ball. And he's that sort of player that will latch onto that, particularly being at a professional club as well. But yeah, I think he's done tremendous for them at Dorking, because there would have been a bit of pressure in him. He probably would have thought, I'm coming back into this league, I didn't really get the chance to shine. But he probably used his motivation to say, I'm going to do exactly what Matchday missed out on. And fair play to him, he has done it. So, yeah, another big win for Dorking. Like I said, keeps him in that amongst that playoff spot as well. And also, I guess, the title race, because there's only 3 points between 1st and 5th at the moment. So it's still all to play for. The trouble is, it's not even as good as the title race last year. That just shows how much of be a factor.
Yeah, I think we can take it when we get to the National League and we look at the top. I think you'll see that the point is absolutely
anxiety.
and the result of why Char's so giddy, because she doesn't know whether Rochdale is 7th or 1st or what.
Don't know.
Can't imagine what a heart race is like. Can't imagine your heart race is like at the moment. I don't think I've had to cope at this point.
That's why I've not been on as well. I'm like, no, I can't deal with it right now. Need a break.
Just finally, Ben, just to doff our caps to those sides, Salisbury, Dover and Chesham, who all got that result that sometimes us supporters and certainly managers crave, that vital 1-0 win. You need a few of those in the season, don't you? And fair play to Salisbury after beating Worthing 5-4 or 6-5 or 7-6 or whatever it was last week. To go to Dagenham. I know Dagenham had a player sent off, didn't they, halfway through? But that's a terrific win for Salisbury.
Yeah, puts Dagenham under a bit of pressure again as well, doesn't it? Because just when Lee Bradbury seemed to be getting out of a really bad patch, they seem to slowly get clawed back into it ever since that night against Chelmsford, where they're beating 4-1. I think that's now 3 defeats on the trot now for them in all competitions and all 1-0 games. So they're not being outplayed. Need to find that goal scoring form again. But again, like I say, huge with Salisbury. And, I'm glad for Brian Dutton, who's backs it up after, like I say, a fantastic win against Worthing in a goal crazy game. If you haven't watched the highlights, everyone, go watch it. It was absolutely brilliant to watch. To be fair, and the scenes when they scored that 5th goal were amazing. To be fair for them, probably the highlight of the season for them. So I don't think that was any competition. I think in that case we'll go to the league table then, Mr. Sam. So there we go. It's not still too much change at the top. It's still Worthing at top of the league with 50 points. Hornchurch sitting just below in 2nd with 49 points. Weston-super-Mare sitting 3rd with 48 points. And then in the rest of making up the rest of the playoffs, 4th is Torquay with 47 points. Dorking 5th with 47 points. Hemel Hempstead 6th with 45 points. And Horsham making up the playoffs on 43 points. And in the bottom 4, it's Hampton and Richmond in 21st with 24 points. Enfield Town 22nd on 21 points. Eastbourne Borough 23rd on 21 points. And Chippenham Town at bottom on 20 points. But they are making their way back up now. Yeah, Claire, I hope you're right, but we've still got a few games to catch up on. In George we trust.
Just quickly on George, did I see he put something on social media last week? Was it an anniversary? Has he been there 3 years in charge now?
3 years, yes. Yeah, 3 years, which has flown by very quickly. And, I think it's fair to say you've had a lot of good memories in that period. And, I think if you want to use the opportunity, what job he's done for the football club in that time. He's never always had the best resources to use. He's always had to sort of work with what he's got. But you know what? Ever since he was given the job permanently, he's done a tremendous job of turning this club around and making us a nasty side to play. No one likes playing us. If you ask the Torquay fans on Saturday, no one wants to play us at the moment just because of how we do things. We're not great to watch, but he's getting us results. So, big up to the gaffer again. Hopefully it's to the next 3 years and hope he gets into the National League, please. I think this brings on us to the National League. I think it does, doesn't it, Sam?
Does indeed.
Hurrah. Shah, before we talk with another great win for the Dale, is there any standouts for you from over the weekend?
Yeah, there's a few actually. I just wanted to mention, obviously, because I've not been on in a while, and one team who did obviously beat us, Hartlepool, and they obviously won against Altrincham. I know Altrincham have been a little bit hit and miss, as we have discussed previously on the podcast, but I just wanted to give credit for Hartlepool because I think they're a team who have been going along the business. Not many people have been talking about them, but they are a really, really solid foundation and a solid team. Obviously, it was only 1-0, an Alex Reid penalty. Somebody who I really, really like in the National League. I know is a little bit like Marmite, Alex Reid, where some people love him, some people dislike him, but I do actually really, really like him, and he's a consistent goal scorer at this level as well. But I just wanted to mention Hartlepool because I think a lot of people who do talk National League don't necessarily mention them, and they are actually putting together a really good team and a good run at the moment. So credit where credit is obviously due there. I won't go on to them too much because I know Rob's here, but Aldershot, I think that was an absolutely cracking win from them. I will let Rob speak about that, though, but I just wanted to give credit where credit's due, because I know we said there is going to come to a point with Aldershot where, because they were scoring goals, they are going to go out and they're going to score quite a lot of goals against an opponent. And I think this was the time now. And I was really, really happy for them. But I will let Rob obviously talk about them. And Morecambe, obviously Morecambe and Scunthorpe, because Scunthorpe are a team who are doing very, very well in the National League at the moment. And I just really wanted it to happen for Morecambe. I know Ashveer Singh is under a lot of pressure from the Morecambe fans. More Morecambe fans are getting really frustrated with him now, aren't they? And they're asking for change. And I really did want it to happen for Morecambe. And obviously they went 1-0 up, didn't they? Then I think, did they go 2-1 down? And then they managed to get the penalty really, really late on.
97,
97, yeah, which obviously is a really good boost for them. And I just really want it to happen for Morecambe, because when they played us, and I know it was a long time ago now on Boxing Day, but I haven't been on, they actually played really, really well, and they were the better team. And I can see the way they do want to play football, and I can see certain players stand out, especially Magal Aziz. I think he's a very, very quality player in that midfield, ex-Arsenal. But I just don't know what is going on behind the scenes at the moment with Morecambe, as in manager-wise. I know the fans are frustrated, but that should be a mega, mega boost for them, getting that equaliser, especially against a really good Scunthorpe team. But yeah, I'll shush now. I feel like I'm kind of
No,
you do them all. We're enjoying it, Shah.
I feel like you want me to.
Just a quick point on Morecambe. If you're in the Ashveer Singh Johal out camp, I'm just giving a different opinion on this. Of course, you always want your team to get a last-minute winner or a last-minute equaliser. But if you're in that out camp, and they had the fans forum the week before, what happened as a result of that, it's a little bit unclear still, isn't it? Like, had they lost at home, the drums would have banged even louder. But they go and get that uplifting moment at the end of the game, you know, which will have even triggered the memories of that first game of the season against Altrincham, where they got that vital last goal. And all of a sudden, there's a short, brief injection of feel good. But they do, as a club, have a decision to make, and they need to get it right. Whether it's Ashveer is going to keep them up and we're going to stick with what he's started to build, or no, we've got enough games left to turn this around with someone else. And so even for the board of directors, if it's that much on their mind, that last minute equaliser has kind of left it still in absolute no man's land. And that's just another perspective from the outside looking in. Obviously, Jen's not here to give us the inside track. But listen, you always respect a point when you get it that late, don't you?
Definitely.
Yeah, definitely. I think as well, I think you got to look at it from the fact as well that it shows to the supporters as well that there is still fight in the team, you know, regardless of their position at the moment. The fact they've kept going till the last minute, got themselves that late equaliser. And I think you're right, Rob. I think more psychologically that will do them the world of good, to be honest. The fact that, you know, they've got a point against a very good side, you know, that have been on a massive high since promotion last season. And, you know, again, it's probably a point that not many of their fans probably would have expected, even though they're at home. But it just shows that, you know, you just keep going, you know, and that's in those moments will come. They will have a good run, you know, Morecambe. You just still feel like there is still more to come from them. But it is a case of like, look, you know, if it goes wrong in the next couple of games, do they make that call now? Because I said before it's too late. That's it. Whilst you've still got 20 games to go, you need to get it right. Because whoever comes in, you know, unless they're very fortunate to get off to an absolute wonder start, they're going to need probably about 3 or 4 games to really, you know, get to use of what the players, you know, they've got, how they want to play, and, you know, and how they go approaching the games now, because they are running out of time, Morecambe, but they're only 4 points off. That's the thing. Going to get a couple of wins on the board, it changes completely. And the fact as well that they've got a couple of games in hand over Braintree might, you know, give them, you know, a bit of a boost. The fact that it's still sort of in their own hands, but it's still a very long way to go. That's the thing. Like, so only just over halfway through the season, so there's still plenty of time for that. Rob, did you want to talk about what has been a great win on the road at Eastleigh? Was that expected, or is that beyond your wildest dreams?
I'm going to let you into just a bit of a personal take on things. I've had a really fortunate couple of weeks because I rarely miss an Aldershot Town game to commentate on it. But the game against Solihull was postponed the week before and got rearranged for what had always been a blank Saturday when I had a big family gathering to go to. The game was rearranged, but with the backing of my BBC boss, I still had the family gathering. I missed the game. So my pattern has been commentate on Aldershot 4, Wealdstone 1, be nowhere to be seen as they get beaten 5-1 at home to Solihull, and then get back on the horse and ride it to Eastleigh and ride back with all 3 points in my back pocket. No, I mean, listen, I was very fortunate there. But what I'm loving about this is, I know when John Coleman came in, it was a horrible set of fixtures, and the bad run we were on under Tommy, under Dowse, under him continued. We went on to lose 8 on the trot. And then we had that good little spell, 3 wins and a draw, which pulled us clear, and then smashed straight back down there with the 5-1 against Solihull. The managers have changed, but the roller coaster is still the best ride in town. And in terms of Aldershot Town matches, I checked this before I came on tonight. There have now been, in 27 Aldershot Town matches this season, 101 goals, an average of 3.74 per game. Find another 50p for the next ride, because it's just brilliant right now. I mean, you never know what you're going into. We did get beaten by what I personally feel is a slightly average and underachieving Eastleigh side in the FA Trophy a few weeks ago. And I've been bemoaning the fact that Aldershot always seem to manage to lose to Eastleigh without Eastleigh being that impressive. But on this particular day, Aldershot got it right with their formation, their team selection, with their hunger. They had 520 fans there at the Silver Lake. It felt and sounded like more. And even when they got pegged back a little bit against the run of play with a bit of a freak goal, great thinking by Nick Townsend, the Eastleigh goalkeeper, great finish from Aaron Blair, but nonetheless a mistake on Aldershot's part. They didn't drop their heads. They went on. They got 2-1 up, and they didn't think, right, oh my God, we're winning 2-1 at Eastleigh, let's hang on. They pushed on. They got goals 3 and goals 4. Josh Barrett with a couple more assists. And one thing you can tie in, all those 3 managers, but you can tie in the return of Josh Barrett with Aldershot starting to score a lot of goals again. Funnily enough, he hasn't been putting too many away himself, but he won't mind that when he's assisting every other goal that we score. He's a wonderful talent at this level of football. It was a really, really good day for Aldershot on Saturday, and it's lovely to come on and to be able to talk about that. And I'm just glad that there was no pod and I wasn't at the game the week before.
Yeah, that's like brilliant win, and puts you at least a couple of points away from the bottom 4 as well, which, like I say, is huge at this stage, isn't it?
It is, and I think, and I might be wrong, and this could change in the next couple of weeks, but I've kind of said the 4 that will go down will be from the bottom 9 at the moment. Mm-hmm. The form team in the bottom 9, the real form team with 3 wins on the trot now, are Brackley. And they beat a Yeovil Town side, who I'll see in action tomorrow night, of course, at Hewish Park. But Yeovil, who made 6 signings last week, including one that they paid 5 figures for from Aldershot, Ryan Jones. But it's early days for the manager, early days for these new players coming in. And Brackley, well, they paid no respect to that, did they? They just got their 9th point out of 9. And that's the first time in a long while they had dropped right close to that bottom 4. I can't remember if they dropped in it or not. But yeah, any team, anywhere in the table, you win 3 games back to back, you're going up that table.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the bonus as well for them is the fact they've still got 1 or 2 games in hand over some of the teams below them as well. So that gives them a chance just to pull a little bit further away. I don't think they'll go down personally. I don't know if I can't remember if I predicted them to go down at the start of the season, but they have just seemed to thrive and adapt to the National League. You know, it's taken a bit of time, but I think a lot of the sort of promoted sides have actually done really well. I think at the moment it's only Truro that's in the bottom 4 at the moment. So that just shows the strength, obviously, of those teams coming up, because it's such a hard gap coming from either the north or the south into this level. But I think a lot of them have done really well, to be fair. And like I say, it could certainly all change very quickly. But brilliant for Brackley. But even better, brilliant for Rochdale, Shah. Gateshead 0, Rochdale 2. What are we thinking?
Yeah. I don't know if Luke's actually in the chat, but I just wanted to give credit where credit's due to Gateshead, because I know Luke's come on here quite a few times this season and he said about the performances and stuff. But Gateshead, now Rob Elliott is back, and I know they've made some signings this week. They actually put up a really, really good account for themselves, especially in the second half. They had chances. One, I feel so sorry. Obviously, I didn't at the time on Saturday, but for Levi and Manche, because I feel like everything he does at the moment, whether it's for Dale, whether it's for Gateshead, it's just not happening. And I don't know if any of you saw the chance, but it had a header and it just came off a crossbar. And honestly, I feel like everything he's doing at the minute, it's just not working for him. But Gateshead can really take a lot of good things from that performance, because he really did play well. I think, again, just a professional performance from Jim McNulty's side. Obviously, we had a lot of grief at the start of the week because we were linked with Manny Duku from, obviously, he's been at York, he's been at Tamworth, and everybody were like, what are you doing signing him? You're supposed to be going forward, and that's a signing going backwards. But I always say, never judge a book by its cover. Never judge somebody by the previous club or the previous other clubs, because in the past, we've had players like Chris O'Grady, for instance. This was a long time ago, don't get me wrong. But Bury fans, Oldham fans were like, oh, why are you signing him for? And under Keith Hill, he was absolutely brilliant and in our system. And I feel like with Manny Duku, he will be very similar. I'm not saying he's going to be prolific for us, but I think he will actually become a backup striker to Manny Desirue. He's back in training now. Obviously, we did lose Levi Amantiu, went back to Walsall, and then Gateshead did pay a fee for him. So I think it'll just be similar to Levi Amantiu. But obviously, at the moment, we need that target man up front, because we are missing Manny Desirue. And what a really good debut for him, to be fair. The goal, I don't know if any of you saw it, an absolute cracking ball from Devante Rodney. I know Manny Duku, it was a great finish, and you've got to be there to put it in the back of the net. But I want to give credit where credit's due to Devante Rodney. And I've come on here and said it before. He isn't getting as many goals this season, but please do not think he is not playing well, because he is absolute quality. The all-round play of Devante Rodney is just absolutely phenomenal. And I know some other clubs who are at the top are like, oh, you're losing your star man Desirue and Rodney's not scoring as many, but you're getting goals all over with the team, for instance, and that really did show with our second goal with Ryan East. Really good move from Jim as well. His substitutions, I thought, was really, really good. His in-game management is a lot better this season, but we have got better quality to obviously come on from the bench now. But we had a few changes, and he actually decided to play Casey Petit and Harvey Gilmore in the midfield that second half towards the end. And Casey Petit is another player who I think is an absolutely fantastic footballer. He's just got that intelligence as well. He's one of them intelligent footballers. But because Ryan East and Harvey Gilmore are doing that well in the central midfield together in the partnership, he's just not really getting his chance. But every time he's getting his chance, he's really proving himself. And I think, obviously, when he came on alongside Harvey Gilmore, they actually pushed Ryan East onto the left, but further up front. And he really thrived in that position a couple of seasons ago when we were struggling with injuries. And in that position, honestly, he's really, really good. And it's another option for maybe if we do want to kind of settle down, go a little bit more defensive in the midfield as a bit of protection, but push Ryan East up front. And I don't know if any of you saw his goal, but it was an excellent finish. But leading up to both goals again, the actual passing of the ball, is just brilliant. And I just want to give credit as well to our defence, because they have been really, really good. We've only conceded, I don't want to jinx it, because we do have we have Solihull tomorrow who are scoring goals, not tomorrow, Wednesday, who are scoring goals, and then we've got Truro at home on Saturday, so I don't want to jinx it. But at the moment, we have still only conceded 16 goals this season. Four of those were against York, you've got to remember as well, when we completely lost our heads. But
3 of them in about 10 minutes, wasn't it?
I know. Came out after the second half. I don't know what Jim said to him. But yeah, that was just mental. But I just want to say, and that is without, obviously, Sam Beckwith, who's been injured. We've also been without Oliver Watmoth, our keeper. I do want to give a massive shite. I'm swearing already. Bloody hell. Shout that, you can tell I'm back.
We'll be back soon, viewers. Charlotte just needs
trust it to come out of my mouth. Shout out. You can tell I'm rusty. Trust me to be the first one who drops a swear word. But yeah, I want to give a massive shout out to, obviously, Broome, who has been in net for us. Well, Oliver Watmoth has been out injured. He's on loan from Bolton. He's obviously gone back now to Bolton, but what a really, really good keeper he is. And he is somebody who I would love to have back if anything does happen with Watmoth, or say Manchester City loan him out to someone else next season. I would definitely have Broome back in a heartbeat. He's very, very good. Ryan Galvin as well. I know he has gone back to Carlisle, but he did a really good job when he was obviously at the back. And Charlie Waller as well, a young lad who we did have on loan from, was it MK Dons or Wimbledon? I think it was one of the two. I know. I'm dropping myself in an even bigger hole. Anyway, one of the two, but he was a young lad. He was only 18 years old, and he did a really, really good job as well. So Sam Beckwith is a real key member to our squad, and honestly, they really did slot in well. But we have got a few people on loan now. One lad from Coventry, Perry, he looks really, really good, very comfortable, composed on the ball. He played in the Sam Beckwith position. We have a lad who we got from Bristol Rovers, and we obviously do have Manny Duku now. So we are bringing people in. A lot of positives to take from it as well. So fingers crossed, but obviously we do have Solihull on Wednesday. They are somebody who we do struggle to play against, to be fair. And I did want to obviously give a mention to them because they have been really, really good. Solihull, scoring a lot of goals. Obviously, I think they have won 3 in their last 5. I think they obviously drew against Carlisle, which we will talk about. And I think the only loss was against Boreham Wood, and that was only 2-1. So Solihull are really, really making a good account for themselves. So I am a little bit worried about that, to be fair.
You should be. I think you should be. I think that would be a cracking game.
Yeah.
Solihull are a good side in really good form right now. I don't know. Ben, are you ready to? Should we talk about that game? Because
yeah, definitely.
I think it was for me the game of the week, given the way the scoring went one way and then the other, given the late goal that took 2 points off one of the sides as well. And I wish we were doing a quiz this week, Shah, because if we were locked in a room like in Sky, on that Sky thing, with the Man City and the Man United fans, and we just now looked at the results and we were on a quiz and I gave you guys, I'll leave Sam out of it to be fair, but if I gave you, Ben, one guess and Charlotte one guess who scored a hat-trick for Carlisle, I'm telling you now, one of you is going to guess Regan Linley, the other one's going to say Con Clark. And you're going to be wrong because it was George Kelly, wasn't it?
Georgie Kelly, yeah.
Kelly, yeah, fantastic from Carlisle. I thought that'd be a high-scoring game. It played out like that. Solihull, I think it's something like 20 goals in 6 games right now. It's that good. And obviously, I wasn't there, but I watched them open Aldershot up like the Red Sea time and time again. But Carlisle, of course, are pretty good going forward as well, aren't they? So I don't know. I don't know if we've got any Carlisle or Solihull Moors fans in the chat that can give us a hard luck story or whatever. But from the outside looking in, it looked like a really entertaining, high-scoring game between two very good sides.
Yeah, definitely. I was going to touch as well, just quickly on the Rochdale one. So I was going to message this because Jim McNulty's clearly got George Elokobi in his contacts. Because who did we replace when Levi Manchester got sent to Bromley on a transfer deal? Manny Duku. He did exactly the same thing. And as obviously his first game was actually, first start was at Portman Road that day at Ipswich. So, he only had a short spell with us, but he was a very hard-working lad. He was. So when I saw that, I was like, "Oh, you couldn't write that at all. Like, that's brilliant."
Isn't it? I meant to say as well. Sorry, his debut did get cut short. It was really hard working and stuff. He looked really, really good, but he ended up colliding with a goalpost. It was only his leg, but just as a precaution, he was just like to change. But luckily, fingers crossed, it's looking like he's okay. I think it was just one of them where he didn't want to risk it. But Manny Desirue as well is back in training. So at least with Manny Duku at the moment and having obviously a lot of our people back from injuries, we don't necessarily have to rush Manny Desirue back. Obviously, it'd be good to have him back because we all know what he can do at this level and what he's done. But yeah, really impressive.
The funniest thing about it is you've had to change what you call Manny Desirue because you've been calling him Manny D all season.
Manny D and Manny Do.
And you've got Manny D and Manny Do. There you go. Yeah. You found a way to differentiate between them.
Don't you worry, Rob.
No.
Wherever's the will, there's a way.
We actually had a little brief debate about this on our pod this weekend, and we totally understood why Duku was signed. Desirue has been out. He's got to get back to fitness. Amanchi was recalled to be sold to Gateshead to go there and probably be a starter week in, week out for them. So, and Manny Duku is kind of at this level. You know exactly what you're going to get with him.
Exactly.
And although I've not watched him in the flesh too much, what I have picked up watching his goals over the years, he's very quick thinking, quick to see things and quick to finish. Sometimes goalkeepers are not even ready for his shot and he's put it away.
Yeah.
I've seen a few goals like that from him. And I think you've got a really good, solid, in time, probably backup or someone who can come on. You can keep those guys fresh. Manny D can play 70 minutes and then Manny Do can come on for 20.
We've got a lot of people. Obviously, I don't want to make it the Rochdale show, but there's a lot of positives to take from it, especially with our attacking line, because you've got the likes of Devante Rodney. You've got obviously Manny D, Manny Do. You've got Tyler Smith, who's scoring goals now as well for us. Obviously, you can't write off Ian Henderson, who's been scoring goals when he's called upon. Adi Barlow, you've got Conor McBride. And like I said, you can always have the option where you can play Joe Pritchard further up front. Tarin Alarakia, who I don't know if any of you saw, but has been off at AFCON, which is just amazing. But it's great to have him back. And you've got the likes of, like I said, Ryan East, who can slot further up. So we have got other options as well. And it's nice to be able to have that dilemma and have them options, because obviously last season I came on here time and time again or on our lower league show and I was like, right, we've got injuries now. What are we going to do? We didn't have that squad depth and we weren't as lucky. So it is nice to be like, oh, who's going to play today and what lineup will he bring out? So it's kind of nice to have that dilemma now.
Do you think Shah's just broken the record for the most players of any football club ever mentioned on this podcast? I reckon there's one player in the squad that you've not mentioned, and he's going to be crying into his pillow tonight because you haven't mentioned him. I don't know.
Ebanks Landell, Kyron Gordon, Kyron Gordon.
Yeah,
Can I just say?
Sam Beckwith. Yeah. Sorry.
I know Harvey Gilmore has obviously been quality for us, but Kyron Gordon is actually one of my contenders for player of the season so far, and he doesn't get the credit he deserves. Very, very good at the back, and I've probably jinxed him now, so I'm sorry, Kyron.
Yeah, good point from Danny. I've just seen in the chat. I'd seen this on Twitter yesterday that Hendo, next game, 500th game. What a servant, eh?
I know. What a guy. I love him.
Oh, he's just missed it as well.
I gave him credit as well. Gave him credit.
Yeah, if you want to quick get your match report in whilst we're still in the National League, Luke, please do from the game. We have talked about it, but please give us your view on it. But Graham's
Love that next comment. That's brilliant. Da do 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 da da da. Look, Manny D.
Exactly.
Manny D.
I'm waiting for another Manny.
Yeah.
another. Obviously, we talk about obviously Manny D and that. A man that's been able to get ahead of him in the goal scoring charts this season. Matt Rush, another goal for him at Boreham Wood, a 3-0 victory over
So
Braintree,
good.
and they really are sticking with that top. They are not going away, are they?
They're scaring me. They are actually scaring me. Like, don't get me wrong. I know what York are capable of, but Boreham Wood are really scaring me because the amount of goals they are scoring is just like, I was glad we played them when we played them at the start of the season, and I'm not happy to be playing them again. I wish we played them like the first 2 games of the season because they're scaring me even more than they usually did, honestly. And I just feel like the players they're recruiting as well, be top quality players. And everyone's slotting in as well, aren't they? But with a manager like Luke Garrard, and we've seen what he can do at National Leagues, obviously National League South level, but the fact he's brought it on now and just the structure of everything, I think Boreham Wood are a team to watch. I know everyone's talking about York right now, and so they should, especially with the amount of goals that they have scored. And I think, aren't they the top scorers in the whole of the English Football League, York? But Boreham Wood are really, really, like, they are ones to watch.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and also you mentioned obviously about the players they've signed. I know they've just managed to capture the permanent signing now, Regan Booty. I know they had him on loan from Barrow. The move hasn't obviously worked for him at Barrow. He's not been in favour with the manager, but he's come in. He scored a cracking free kick a couple of weeks ago against Solihull. He's well established, so he's one of the players what you're going to get with him. Obviously, I've known him obviously from his time at Maidstone. His diagonal balls are first class. He makes things happen, but he's very good at breaking things up as well. He's the sort of Boreham Wood signing and the typical Luke Garrard signing I would have expected him to make. And I think you're right. I think the players they're getting in now have got so much depth in that side, and the fact that they've still got hold of Abdul Malik at the moment is a massive bonus for them, because I know there's still a few weeks left before the transfer window closes. I am surprised that I've not seen EFL sides make a bid on him yet, because the season he's had so far with them has been quite exceptional. The step up he's made back into this league is huge, and he's been one of the most creative wingers in this level. I think just wanted to give him a shout out because he's been absolutely fantastic for them this season.
I think Sean's right to be wary. Oh, what's that? Sorry.
I went, look at Sean being a Karen. Nothing changes.
This is my fault. My fault for the graphics this week, Sean. Apologies, Sean. I do apologise.
You should have blamed me, so we felt bad.
Sorry, Tamworth fans.
You're taking the point off them and giving it
another big one.
I just can say, sorry, I think there's a slight lag. Sorry, we're talking over each other. Sorry, guys. Do you want me to go? It was just a quick point on Boreham Wood. I think Shah's right to be concerned about Boreham Wood as they gradually strengthen in depth. That was my biggest concern about them. But Aldershot only lost 1-0 there. They've had heavier defeats, but the quality on show that night was breathtaking. And I said to Luke after, and I said, I know it's your job now. It's 3 points. You're already planning for, I think it was Brackley, the next game. But I've been watching the National League for 10, 11, 12 years, week in, week out. I've seen Luke Garrard's sides before. They've always been very effective. But right now, they've really got the perfect cocktail, as I call it, scoring 2 or 3 a game, conceding very, very few. They're elevated from you, Shah. You've conceded 16. They've conceded 22, but then they have scored 6 or 7 or 8 more goals than you. There is some comparisons between it, but I love the blend of quality and efficiency and experience that they've got, and they really are the real deal. I've said to you, and I stick by, that I want to see Rochdale win the league this year. I would love that. I think it's a genuine, proper football club that's had an awful lot of hard times, but it still feels like a proper football club when you go there. And I want it for you. I want it for Rochdale. Okay. I want them to have a bit of joy. But I also do, after that, I like the story of what an incredible achievement it would be if Boreham Wood came up after finishing 6th in the National League South last year. via the playoffs and then went and did this. And
That'll do.
you know what I mean? I think we got the best title race for years, possibly in terms of the number of clubs in it, the most since I've been watching it across those 12 years, when invariably either one team or two teams tend to shoot away. Don't think it's going to happen this year.
No, and I wouldn't even rule out Scunthorpe out of it at the moment. They're only 6 points behind. I know obviously Dale have got a couple of games in hand, but
Yeah,
6
but
points.
we play them, don't we? They're one of our games in hand.
Exactly. So
we've not played them this season.
Wow. So that's the thing. It could all change so quick. I mean, I think it's just because that gap between now, I think it'll all be a fight for that 7th spot, which I think we spoke about a few times. And I think that top 6 is probably going to be all in the playoffs at the very least anyway. And obviously keeping on those toes, obviously we haven't mentioned them yet. Halifax 2, Boston United 1. Another defeat for Boston, but again, Halifax, a bit like Hartlepool, just chipping away at the points, going about their business slowly and staying in that mix, which, is the main thing. And I was also just going to quickly mention as well, Sam Cox's Wealdstone with huge win in fairly local derby against Woking. Again, they've been having hard times a bit at Wealdstone where they've sort of been slipping and everyone's maybe thinking, we're getting sucked back into it? But they are now, just clinging back on and just getting back to where they'd be. I mean, they are still, they're only 7 points off the playoffs, but I know Sam Cox full well that he'll be looking at and going, that another 5 more wins and we're safe in the division. That's what they've got to look at, I think, first and foremost. And again, a bit like what we were saying in the National South with Horsham, is anything you get beyond that is a massive bonus for them. For a club like them, who are always, relegation contenders, always, predicted to go down. I predicted them to go down again. But again, they're going against the odds and just scraping off those wins, which is what they need to do now, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. 12th place, more than halfway through the season. Wealdstone, that is a huge overachievement. And if you take their objective number 1 this season, Wealdstone, to make sure that they are in the National League next season, they have 35 points already with 19 games still to play. So that is outstanding. The last couple of seasons, you've needed 53 to stay up. I don't think it'll be as high this year. I think 50 points will do it. So they probably need another 15 points to be sure. Terrific job for Sam Cox and beating a hard to beat Woking side who put 4 past Hartlepool last week, right? It's bonkers. How the hell we ever make predictions in this league, I don't know.
Yeah, definitely. Is there anything else anyone want to touch on National League wise? Or are we all quite happy? I think we've covered pretty much most of the games, to be honest.
We have. I think we need to acknowledge Halifax Town have moved to within a point of the playoffs after a 2-1 win against Boston. And weirdly, of those teams down the bottom, with Boston getting Hurst back and with Gateshead getting Elliott back, these are big moves. Their fans will feel that they can pull out of trouble or pull clear of trouble, with those. But meanwhile, Halifax Town just go rumbling on, don't they? It doesn't seem to matter who their manager is. It's overachievement every season.
Yeah, definitely. I'm just laughing at the comment that Luke's just put in saying that his dad thinks I sound like Sam Matterface. I don't know whether to say it as a compliment because I'm not a massive fan of him, if I'm being totally honest, really. He's not my cup of tea on commentary, but I'll take it.
He's a big name, though. You're in esteemed company there, mate.
Because you're an assured professional, Ben. That's what it is. And
stop it.
Yeah. We should touch very briefly, even if it's just a quick mention, Ben. Sutton won, Forest Green won, a big point in the end for Sutton. They played the whole second half against 10 men. Forest Green and Robbie Savage not too happy at the sending off of Ricardo Rees. But there was a mad few moments and challenges in that match. I understand he saw red. He literally saw the red mist because a player blatantly took him out as he was trying to gallop down the wing. And then the ball came back the other way and he just charged in and recklessly challenged one of the Sutton players, So it was a bit of a red mist, I think. And Ricardo Rees, who'd scored 2 goals on his debut for Forest Green, got sent off in that game. So mixed fortunes for him and for them so far. What did you make of it, Shah, in the respect to the fact that Forest Green were kept down to just the 1 point on a day when you got 3, sorry?
No, obviously it's really good from obviously a title race point of view. The Southend one as well was so frustrating because I really wanted Southend to win this one. Really do. But York and Ollie Pearce always find a way. And it is so frustrating because what a player. Like if you're a neutral and stuff or you're not involved, what a player. But it's just so frustrating. Obviously, it wasn't nice to see Harry Cardwell after he did score. He did go off injured, didn't he? What a player he is. But yeah, Ollie Pearce. Ollie Pearce, why? It's always so late as well, either Ollie Pearce or Josh Stones, and I'm sick of seeing it.
I think you've got to be grateful, though. You know, two of the other sides in the top 7 playing each other in a draw, and that's never a bad result, Shah. Right?
Yeah.
It was a pretty good weekend. I know we're going to hopefully come and look at the table very shortly, and I'll keep one more point until you do bring it up.
Yeah, definitely. I think we might be using the excuse actually to go to the table, actually, Sam. So just quickly touching on it. So it's York City top on 56 points on goal difference. Just below them, second on 56 points as well, is Boreham Wood. Third is Carlisle with 56 points as well. Then you have Rochdale in fourth with 55 points. Big up,
Way
Shah.
back.
It will soon be top spot again, don't you worry. Fifth place, we have Forest Green Rovers with 54 points, Scunthorpe in sixth with 50 points, and Southend United making up the playoffs on 42 points. And then in the bottom 4, it's Sutton United on 24 points in 21st. 22nd is Morecambe with 21 points. 23rd is Truro City with 20 points. And in 24th, sorry, Mr. Luke, it's still Gateshead with 19 points. What was the point you wanted to make on this, Rob?
No, I was just going to say that within that top 7, Shah, it was only Rochdale and Boreham Wood that managed to win on Saturday.
So there's always the biggest challenge it is, though. That's the thing. When other teams slip up, you've got to take advantage of it, because I swear
100%.
That's always something that I always had found mates that never did, is when we were in title races, is every time a team dropped points, we never took advantage. So if you can do that, sign of champions. So it's honestly, I can't wait for the rest of that second half of the season. I'll just be interested to see where Dale are, though, after those couple of games in hand, to see if they can start pulling away from it. But it's such a huge challenge. You just mentioned Charles, obviously, just quickly touching back on it.
Yep.
So you say the pitch is ready now, Rochdale. Is it ready for Saturday's game now, or are they still need a bit?
No, it's all done. They've obviously confirmed it today ahead of schedule and stuff, and they've been testing obviously the drainage. And apparently, let me get this up because it is absolutely madness. Just bear with me a minute, sorry guys. It's obviously about the water and the drainage system. If I can find it. Watch it now. I won't be able to find it probably. Basically, I can't find it. I will send it in our group chat and stuff when I do. But basically, it was a ridiculous amount that it was actually draining. Like it was bare minimum before they had this work done. And they've tested it. There it is. Danny's actually put it in. Sorry. Yep. That was what it was. And that's what it's doing now. And that's crazy. And no wonder we had so many waterlogged. Like the game's called off due to waterlogged pitch. That is ridiculous, isn't it?
Yeah, that is crazy.
Crazy. But yeah, I just wanted to say, obviously, absolutely brilliant from the Ogden family as well, since they've come in, obviously, to the Dale. They've done magnificent things, whether it's been like the development centre for young kids and obviously the youth and stuff, whether it's been obviously the work done to the pitch and just making it back to that community feel again. They are obviously brilliant, and all the staff at Rochdale as well. So I know everyone credits Jim McNulty and the players, which they should, for everything on the pitch, but there's a massive amount of incredible stuff going on at Rochdale, like as a town, and obviously everything that they do. So I just wanted to obviously mention them because they don't really get the credit they deserve, and they've been absolutely fantastic since the takeover.
Yeah. I mean, just going back on Graham's comment as well, he says, does the pitch need time to bed in the moment, or is there a risk it could cut out quickly?
I'm not too sure.
We'll let you know after Saturday's game.
I know, yeah.
Someone call Alan Titchmarsh.
It's
And I
like
think
that, though, to be fair. Obviously, I know a lot of people have been like, oh, Rochdale and the pitch is done and they'll be fine. But our players have still got to get used to it, haven't they? They've still got to get used to playing on it. And it's not as if, like, it's going to be new to our players like it would be to, like, an away team coming on, wouldn't it? So, yeah. But I think we'll do all right. At least we won't have a waterlogged pitch, hopefully, fingers crossed. We might have a frozen one. But at least it won't be waterlogged.
Did you want to mention the groundsman's name, by the way?
I know. I feel like I'm getting question time. Gardening's not one of my strongest points. Sorry, Graham.
We can tell you've been holding this all in for a couple of weeks. So it's great to have it all.
I know. I'll get back to you. Next time I'm on, I'll send you everyone who's done the work. I'll send like a profile, their address, and numbers, everything. I'll have a full profile on them.
Oh God. Well, I think Sam, I think it's time to move on to the National League North now. And I think, let's be honest, there's only one place to start, I think, isn't there? Curzon Ashton 0, AFC Telford United 8. What we make of those? What's gone on there?
Well,
Close
if
game.
they're really lucky, I've just had a message to say that Dickie, Richard Wharton of NL Fulltime, who is media for AFC Telford, he's going to jump on the pod and join us in the next couple of minutes. So should we hold off and let him have the say when he comes on?
Yeah, 100%. So I think obviously taking that one out of the equation, what's the standout result thinking? Charles, I'll come to you first. What's the standout results you saying?
It's not necessarily a standout result, and I don't know if you spoke about it in previous weeks, but Hereford are really, really struggling, aren't they? Obviously, 0-0 against Kings Lynn. I know Kings Lynn did have a man sent off, but I know they've still got a couple of games in hand, but as we always say, games in hand mean nothing really. You need to have them points on the board. And I just feel like every time I look, they're just dropping lower and lower. And it's really, really worrying, isn't it? Because I know we mentioned this like a couple of months ago and it's like, oh, they'll be okay. They always find a way. And I feel like they haven't found that way yet. And they're just dropping further and further down, which is obviously... it's not good for them. And somebody who I do want to give credit where credit's due, Merthyr Town. I know we have spoke about them, but they're still winning. And are they third in the league, Merthyr? Yeah. I know it was against Peterborough Sports, who are struggling. But sometimes you can find in the lower leagues and even in the higher ones where the teams below, it's as if they don't really have anything and they don't really... They tend to, it's like a cup final, isn't it, against a team like higher than them. And they could have easily like struggled Merthyr against Peterborough Sports, but they didn't. I know Peterborough Sports did have a man sent off as well. A lot of red cards in non-league this weekend. But yeah, they're obviously doing brilliant. And Macclesfield just beat Crystal Palace in the FA Cup. Obviously, they've had a lot of sad news recently as well, haven't they? But they have still, and it must be so hard for them players after not only losing, obviously, one of the teammates, but I know one of the female players, one of the female players as well, lost her life. And it can be so hard to get your head around things on a personal level. I obviously know from experience myself the last few weeks and stuff. But they have just come in, and I know Oxford City is struggling as well, but they have come in and despite obviously everything going on, they are still winning and just brilliant, isn't it, from Macclesfield? And they really do deserve it. And someone who I'm really happy to see on the score sheet again is obviously Damani Mellor. Know him from obviously as a young prospect at Manchester United, but obviously from Rochdale as well. And I'm just,
you should get him as well.
Yeah, Damani D. Well, we need to bring him back. What a shout, Rob. But yeah, he's somebody I've always liked, but I'm so glad he's kind of hitting it off at this level. But yeah, I've said I'm doing it again. I'm so sorry. Just reeling them all off. I like doing this. I don't want to be a host anymore. Can I be on the panel?
I mean, I will just touch on like Macclesfield because I think it's superb management from John Rooney. You know, the fact that
Very
they picked up
good.
the game before Crystal Palace, they beat Radcliffe, I think, didn't they? And the fact they've obviously gone after that and beating Oxford City, comfortably, that just shows, that he will take it one game at a time and he will not let the players get carried away, because it could be so easy then to think now we've got another, game against Premier League opposition at home to come, in a few weeks' time. Let's all focus on that. But their bread and butter is the league. And look, with games in hand, they're knocking still on the door of the playoffs. They're only 3 points outside, and they've got games in hand as well. So, as long as it doesn't become a huge distraction to them, they could really do something this season. I think they've already proven themselves against top opposition. What's to say they can't do it again?
Yeah, and listen, you've touched on all the good things, but let's be brutally honest. The money they'll have got from playing at home to a Premiership club, drawing another Premiership club at home, and the TV cameras will be there again. It's quite outstanding, isn't it? And just one thing that really, I don't know, I would hazard a guess that all of us felt so proud of level 6 of English football beating Premier League. And we were so fortunate last weekend on our podcast to have John Murray join us. He's the football correspondent for the BBC. Yeah. He's the guy that commentates on the big games, the Champions League finals, the England games. He commentated on Leeds Derby last week, but the day before that, he'd done Macclesfield, and he pulled over in the services and came on our pod to talk to us about Macclesfield's achievement. He had commentated on that game, and he just articulated what it meant so well. Over 5,000 there. And a quite wonderful day. And of course, I blatantly used the opportunity to ask him, as someone who covers all levels of the game, what about this 3-up campaign? He's like, surely it's got to happen. I mean, a tier 6 side beating a Premier League, it's just one more shred of evidence that says that the football pyramid needs to get itself in order, right?
Yeah, 100%. There's no argument for that. Let's say whatsoever. I think it speaks for itself. We need the 3-up, 3-down campaign. So
can we do this season?
Yeah,
please.
We're going to bring
you won't care next season, Sharp.
Yeah,
you won't care. You're like 3-up. I don't care. Like.
Yeah, I'll be like not 3 down, please, in case we struggle if we do get promoted.
Oh dear. Well, Sam, I know you've got a patient man that's waiting in the background for us, and I think he's got, he's probably had quite a good weekend. So bring him in, I would say.
I shall indeed. Unlike the football pyramid, I can just decide to bring up whoever I want. So here we go. Welcome to the show, Dickie. How are you?
Yeah, I'm very good, thanks. Evening. Good to see you all.
Good. Well, I mean, we were going to jump into it straight away, but obviously we're glad we've waited till you come, because you can probably tell us the best. Curzon Ashton 0, AFC Telford 8. Have you had a day quite like that in football?
Not many, no. I did see Telford hit double figures a few years ago, but the level of opposition was very different. It was Coleshill Town in an FA Trophy game. Behind closed doors, Coleshill had a man sent off after about 15 minutes. And so not quite the same standard. Nobody was expecting a margin like that. I mean, my feeling is that Telford are a fairly capable side this season, and I felt quite good about our chances going into the game of coming back with 3 points. But I don't think nobody saw that coming.
No, definitely not. I mean, just talk us through it. Going into that sort of game, Curzon Ashton sort of sitting, mid-table. I mean, is the confidence that in fact you even go in there and get a win? But that's the thing, to be 8-0 winners. It's better than anyone's, but probably could have hoped for.
Yeah, I mean they were just ahead of us in the table before kickoff. It's very congested in that mid-table in National League North, so things can change quite quickly. And they've not been in the greatest run of form. I think there was 4 losses in their last 5. Telford's form is probably the reverse of that. So that was what gave me the optimism. But those two things shouldn't add up to an 8-0 away victory. But yeah, Telford just got off to a really, really quick start. Ahead after 12 minutes, Matt Stenson, our leading scorer, his 18th of the season. Dylan Allen Hadley then put Telford 2 up just before the 20-minute mark. I think we timed it at 13 seconds from the restart between the second goal and the third. So Curzon just gave the ball away straight after kick-off, and Telford, Kanye Leshabella just ran straight down the middle and scored his first goal for the club. He's been an ever-present this season, hasn't scored yet, waited 31 games for a goal, and then scored his second goal of the season 10 minutes later. So that's, he's hit a hot streak there in terms of his scoring. So yeah, 4-0 up after half an hour. And you get to that stage where you think he won't be like this in the second half. Curzon are gonna come out with a bit more pride. They made 4 substitutions at half-time. Mark Bradshaw clearly wasn't happy with what he saw. And you do think it's going to be slightly different, but it wasn't. Telford scored again within 5 minutes of the restart, and then I think it was after an hour, 75 minutes, and then the last one came about 6-7 minutes from the end. The referee actually blew up on 90 minutes and told the players that's what he was doing. I think there should have been about 3 or 4 minutes added time for substitutions, and he said, lads, there's no need to play on any longer than this. And I think the Telford players were a bit miffed because they were hoping there might be a chance for one more. But no, he drew a line under it at 8 for us. And yeah, just a sensational day.
I mean, I must admit that's one of my biggest bugbears, of the fact that, I know Mark White is a big thing of that, is if once you get into a certain scoreline, the ref just plays it, to the scoreline. It's like, no, look, supporters pay their money to come and see the game. They need to see the fallen man of the game played. There's no sympathy vote in that, everything. If Curzon actually have been that bad, that's their problem. That's their job to sort it out. So, but again, I think you got to give credit probably to Kev Wilkin as well, because a 4-0 at half time could have been so easy for those players to take their foot off the gas, couldn't they? But he clearly said, "Look, go and deliver something for the pause and make a huge statement."
Yeah, and I said this. I was summarising for the BBC on Saturday, and I said in my summing up at half time that we don't expect it to be the same in the second half, because Curzon, what other option have they got other than to show some fight, show some spirit, pride? That will close the gap a bit. Whether Telford would admit it or not, you'd kind of think to yourself, you're in a comfort zone when you're 4-0 up. You're probably going to win the game. So is there going to be a bit of a slackening off? And that'll just bring the teams that bit closer together. And neither of those things happened. So yeah, what the message that Kevin gave them clearly got through. I mean, we were in a very similar position in the FA Cup earlier in the season. We won 6-0 away at Darlington, 4-0 up at half time. And even at half time, you're thinking 4-0. But if they get the first one in the second half, and then that gives them a bit of a lift, and then maybe they get another, you don't want to count your chickens. We got 2 more in that game, obviously, and saw that one out. But yeah, I'm taking that as a good sign in what is a fairly young Telford side, that they kept their foot to the floor, and they were, he doesn't want to be relentless for the sake of being relentless. He didn't have any ill will towards Curzon Ashton, but his message is that you need to be consistent, and he likes to see that played out over 90 minutes, and that they should go out and do the same in the second half again, and they did.
Yeah, just a quick point, just a little stat, just to add to this. When that game kicked off on Saturday, not only were Curzon and Ashton ahead of Telford in the table, but they had a +2 goal difference, and Telford's was +4. After that game, Telford's is now +12, and Curzon have a -6 goal difference. So, ridiculous that now Telford have 18 better goal difference than Curzon, as well as that additional point that you've got, Dickie. We've got to ask you the question, and I know this is probably quite irritating, really, given how well you're doing, but Telford have settled so well into life in National League North after just a slow, steady start. But you're now 10th. I think it's the highest you've been all season. 35 points, 4 points off the playoffs. You couldn't, could you?
We could. Whether we will, I don't know. I mean, I don't want to doubt our players, and I don't doubt our players. I do think they're a very capable group, and it's great to be around them after the club's been in the doldrums for a number of years, and they are a breath of fresh air. It's been terrific under Kevin Wilkins since he got the opportunity to impose his own style on things and create his own culture. It's been a world apart from what we had before. My gut instinct is that we could possibly scrape a 7th, something like that. My gut instinct is we have to go for it. And then in going for it, what that should do is that should at least enable us to get to that, whatever the mark is for safety, sooner rather than later. I think I've read in the local newspaper as well that Kevin's as good as said that to a local newspaper reporter as well, that he's urging the team to look up, not be looking over their shoulder. I think it's a 13-point gap to the team in the last relegation place now, which ought to be enough at this point. And we will pick up more points over the rest of the season, undoubtedly. And I think we could. There's a bit of me thinks that we may just fall short, given some of the clubs that are up there. And I think the top 3 are probably out on their own amongst everybody else. But it is literally so close. I can foresee a situation that we've had in the north in similar seasons, and like we had in the south last season, where it is so compressed on the final day that just one goal or drawing a game when you were leading could see you fall out of the playoffs on the final day and somebody else sneak in. I think it's going to be that close.
Wealdstone in the top league, massively overachieving, in 10th place right now with 35 points. Replace that with the National League North, and I'd say exactly the same compliment to Telford. 35 points in the bag already. Probably 15 more needed to be certain of being in that division next year. And a great place to be in mid-January, Dickie. Congratulations, mate. Excellent.
Yeah, no, it's really great. I mean, fans' expectations before the season started were you worry about the fact you'd be playing at step 3 and you're going back up to step 2, and whilst Kevin's really, really good and encouraging, that there were messages there about we are going to need to be more relentless. We are going to need to be harder as a team, not physically and not aggressive, but we're just going to have to be a bit more hard-nosed about getting results sometimes than perhaps we were at step 3. And yeah, it's that the group have surprised a lot of us. I thought we'd do okay. I think we are probably, I'm not going to say overachieving. I think we're over what some fans' expectations were. But I know Kevin's expectation, and I know Kevin wants to get to the playoffs. That's just him.
Yeah, I think as well, because I mean, it's interesting you say that, because obviously, I mean, we haven't talked loads about Telford this season, if I'm being totally honest. But I mean, I look at, like, say, the ground, the facilities that they've got, and obviously, it was once a National League club. Not too long ago. I mean, is the ambition still there that they want to get back into that level? Because they say everything's there for them in terms of infrastructure of the club.
We'd like to. I think there's a lot of building back going on. Obviously, we were fan owned for a number of years, and then we got to the position where I think fans' interest in the fan ownership model had dwindled. I think people thought that there was a self-imposed glass ceiling above us, and we were on the verge of having some financial trouble again, simply because the fan-owned model didn't generate enough money. We have a local family on the board who exchanged some of their debts that they had, or that the club had, to them for shares, and they are now sort of like the main controlling interest in the club. Although we have got some other investors on board as well. We haven't got a real big hitter on our board. I know there was some fuss made when we got some American ownership a little while ago, but that was principally off the back of the Wrexham thing and everybody looking for the next Wrexham. Yes, we've got a group of shareholders who are involved in the film industry in the United States, but they're, by their own admission, they're not in the same league as those guys. And they've put some money in, which I think has helped stabilise us a bit, which we're grateful for. But we're not at that stage of them all of a sudden, going out and signing us a Paul Mullen or anything like that.
Yeah, definitely. I think, I'll say, the ultimate aim, I'd say, when you get promotion, we've said it with quite a lot of the number of teams, that have come up this year, you likes of your Bedfords, Workshops, is make sure staying in the division, and anything on top of that, as we've said, numerous times tonight, is anything when pops up, that is a huge bonus. And like I said, and I know Kev Wilkin, obviously, he's done it at a higher level. He's obviously managed some big clubs. Wrexham, and obviously he's been at Brackley not too long ago. So it's not exactly like he's not used to this level. He doesn't know what's required to succeed at this level. So I think it's brilliant what they've done.
Yeah, and Kevin will say this as himself, that when we went down to step 3, that was a big learning curve for him, because he hadn't managed at step 3 for a long time. And knowing who was available at step 3, who was willing to come to step 3, he wanted to put together a team at that level who could make the jump back up to step 2, and we wouldn't then have to have a big rebuild. The idea wasn't like we get promoted, then we've got to tear it up and start again, because none of those players are going to be good enough to step 2. So he had to be persuasive and get players, step 2 players, who were prepared to come down with the aim of getting us back up again. And some of them are still with us now. Obviously, Matt Stenson was playing at step 3 at Brandon Hall, came down. He'd previously been at Gloucester, Kidderminster, Hereford. And his geographical location just worked really, really well for us. Some of them have moved on. Probably we're just getting into that stage of their careers where they don't necessarily want to go back up to step 2 again because of the travelling involved and family commitments and things like that. So he made the decision to bring in more younger players towards the end of last season and in the summer, particularly players who were at step 3 with us last season, but who he felt could make the step up. And he's been rewarded handsomely.
Yeah, I was like, fingers crossed, that Telford can also keep pushing. There's no reason why they can't sneak into that top 7. There's still all to play for. We've just over half a season. Joe's in the chat. Evening everybody. Lovely to see everyone, especially lovely to see Shah back on the pod. Welcome back, Shah. Will Ben survive the pod without getting sent off? Oi, don't you start on me now. You had more to do than we did. At least we don't put our players into headlocks, eh? Obviously, you're probably more the expert of the North than maybe a couple of us probably are. Is there any standouts for you that probably surprised you over the weekend at all, or was it quite straightforward?
I think most of them kind of went to form, really. I think Kidderminster dropping points to Worksop was a surprise. We talked about this yesterday, and the fact that Adam Murray won December Manager of the Month, and then in the next game up after winning the prize, finds himself 2-0 down after 10 minutes at home to Worksop, which is just a very unexpected sort of turn of events. But fair play to Kidderminster. They've got I think Stuart Watkis coming in alongside Adam Murray, probably in about November time, as an experienced number 2 locally, I think, who has good experience of Kidderminster and perhaps understands what the expectations are there. I think some of the signings that Adam brought with him from National League South didn't quite work out, and of course they've been able to do things like bring Ashley Hemmings back on loan from Dagenham and Redbridge, although I think I was led to believe he was injured when he played, when Telford were due to play them just before the turn of the year. He did play against us. I have to say, looked a little bit short of fitness, probably lack of game time at Dagenham. But yeah, they've been getting it together, and they've been doing very un-Kidderminster-like stuff, winning games by 1-0, which I don't think necessarily always pleases the Kidderminster faithful, because again, I've spoken to a former Kidderminster player, our own Brandon Hall, about this, and he says there is an expectation at Kidderminster, not just to win, not just to get promoted, but to play a certain style of football as well. So as much as Kidderminster fans might not initially have been thrilled by the fact that they were just winning games by close 1-0 scorelines, it's all about the wins. And then, they've had a fantastic December. They went 100% in the league, progressed in the FA Trophy. And the knives that were out for Adam Murray 6-8 weeks ago, no sign of them anymore.
No, definitely. Honestly, I think it's quite key to mention as well, like that win in the FA Trophy 6-2 against Morecambe. And I think anyone could have seen that one coming. I can still think before 5-1 up or something like that, at half time or something. But it was something ridiculous like that.
I think it was 5-1, and again, given the momentum or the trajectory of both teams at the moment, I probably would have foreseen a Kidderminster win in that one, but again, perhaps not by the margin. And I don't know, maybe there was a bit of a naivety about Morecambe, and they perhaps maybe felt they could go there and play a bit more football than they do against teams in their own division, and got caught out. Just I don't know, having a look in the rest of the division there, I think probably Chester's draw with Chorley, a 3 each, is always notable, isn't it? And the fact that that one swung back and forth, and then the equaliser coming in the 4th minute of added time with an on loan keeper punching the ball into his own net. That's, it's not great if you're a Chester fan. You're going through absolute agonies yet again. But if you're a neutral looking on from the outside, that looks an absolutely belting game to be at. Matt Irwin from Chorley put through his own goal as well. So both keepers on the score sheet for the opposition team. And yeah, I mean, Chester again seemed to be getting it together under Callum McIntyre, but just seemed to have this habit of being able to throw in a result out of left field when you're not expecting it. The first team to go and win at Radcliffe this season, and then they can't capitalise at home in some of their fixtures. I do think expectation's an issue at Chester, and I say this repeatedly, that a team with a Football League history who don't believe that they should be where they are, but they have to accept that they are where they are, and perhaps it's sometimes just understanding and getting your head around that helps you then get out. I mean, it's certainly the case with Telford when we went down. We probably did have some supporters saying Telford shouldn't be at step 3. Well, the reality was we had to get our heads around that, and we had to build back, and we kind of have. But yeah, I don't think anybody can ever go around thinking they're too big to be in a lower division. You mentioned Hereford, Shah, and I have similar thoughts about them. They've got lots of games in hand. I think they've only played 22. So those games in hand, you would think that they should pick some points up from that. But again, they just seem to always be one poor result away from, a bout of beating themselves up as a club, as a fan base and whatever. And I get it. I understand why it happens, but at the same time, just doesn't help.
Yeah,
I feel like for Hereford as well, we keep saying it, don't we? Like, oh, they've got games in hand, they'll be fine. And then time's going on and it's getting on again. And it's like, we're nearly at the end of January now and we're still saying it. Like, when is it actually going to get better and happen?
I think squad-wise as well, I think they've got... fans weren't especially thrilled with the summer recruitment, didn't think it was strong enough. Sure enough, some of those players that did come in the summer have gone, but they've not really been replaced by anybody. So now the squad just seems to have got a bit thinner. I've seen some speculation tonight that Jaden White, who had gone back to them on loan from Sutton, he's been seen training at Sutton, and that might just be because they're his parent club and they train full time, and that's where he is. But there were high hopes for his return, that he was going to be a spark for them. Again, not really happened. And yeah, it's a difficult situation. I do feel for Paul Caddis. I do think he's a decent man. Certainly they held all that fuss around the FA Cup game they had at Sporting Calcer earlier in the season, where they walked off. Sporting Calcer did, because of the allegation of racist abuse, and Paul Caddis was fantastic in that.
Yeah.
Backed Sporting Calcer to the hilt, said we can't have that. And in a lot of ways, you look at him and go, that's what you want your manager to be. But it's got to come with results as well, hasn't it?
Definitely.
Just 22 games played, and Shah, I know this will resonate with you because Rochdale have only played 23. But this is the brutal reality of this. We are 5.5 months into the season, and they played 22 games, or Rochdale played 23. There are 3.5 months of the season left, and you still have half, and in Hereford's case, more than half of their games to play. It's going to be really testing. And it's one thing, everybody going, oh, what would you rather have, the games in hand and this and that for Rochdale? That's a completely different debate to Hereford's.
Definitely, especially when you think of us as well, Rob. We've got squad depth as well, haven't we? And like I was saying before, we've got the dilemma of, who should we play this game? And you can rotate. But as Dickie was saying, with obviously Hereford, and at the moment with their squad, they don't have the squad depth either, do they? And things. So we're finding it difficult at the moment with obviously everything going on with the pitch. But then you look at them in National League North and their dilemmas, and it's a lot. I'd rather be in our situation than theirs, 100%.
it's a little bit out of Hereford's hands in some instances as well. I mean, I just looked, they were supposed to be home to Macclesfield tomorrow. That game's had to be postponed because Macclesfield are at Woking in the FA Trophy, a game that didn't get played last Tuesday. So again, through no fault of Hereford's own, that's another Tuesday which is empty. They'll train, yes, terrific, but at some point they are going to have to start going Saturday, Tuesday, and as a semi-professional team, that's tough. You know, they don't train in Hereford, so they've got to get out there. They train in Birmingham, so that perhaps helps a little bit in terms of getting the players together. But yeah, we've seen similar situations with so many clubs in the past where you can have all those games in hand, but when they start to stack up and the tiredness is in the legs, and you know that we've seen, I saw Spennymoor fall away in a similar kind of way because they had umpteen postponements, couldn't get them played. I think they were playing Saturday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday for the last 2 weeks of the season, and I saw them in the last but one of those games, and they were absolutely dead on their feet against Telford, against a poor Telford side that season who still went there and won because Spennymoor, they were Spentymore, they had nothing left.
I mean, do you know what? The fixture congestion is actually a very good point, because I was just looking at, Matchdays running, and bear in mind, we've played 25 games. Between now and mid-March, we've only got one free week, because other than that, it's Saturday, Tuesday until that point. So you just think about those clubs like Hereford that haven't even played half their season yet, and they've still got 24 games to go in, like, say, 3.5 months. And that doesn't even include if there's still any county cups or not. It's still, it's a huge ask. It is, for clubs, and like I said, the ones that are part-time. And that's why I think the likes of Macclesfield, that'd be quite testing for them with the FA Cup run on top of it. They're still in the FA Trophy as well. That's going to be a huge ask for them to make the top 7 of that division. Obviously they'll be absolutely fine. They won't go down, but it's one of those things where, playing on that 3G as well every week, how much is it going to take out on their legs? It's so hard, especially when the pitch will get more heavy as well, isn't it? It's such a hard balance now at this time of year. And now, like as we were saying right at the start of the pod, what Rob was saying, like, you hope now this is the normality. We've had our patch, of the bad weather, and now we can start getting more consistent games in, because I think any more delays now, and it could really cost some teams.
Yeah, definitely. And again, in Macclesfield's case, just to come back to them as well, the emotion that club and the contrasting emotions that they've gone through in the last few weeks. I mean, the loss of Ethan McLeod is he was a player that came in and trained at Telford last season, and I know Kevin Wilkins spoke about it in a post-match interview. He really felt it. A young man had lost his life. Then they've had the FA Cup, this tremendous high, and that will continue. My concern, it's I guess it's that thing of, people always say, if you're rich, you don't have problems. Well, you just have different problems. Macclesfield, for all the riches in terms of money and experience that this FA Cup run is bringing them, when it finishes, there's going to be a massive come down, because you're going to have players all of a sudden, it's just back to the league again now. And I often think how teams handle that kind of, when the show is over and you're back to the bread and butter, can be quite, I'm going to say, interesting, because I don't want it to sound like Macclesfield that, they're in a Petri dish and we're looking to see how they respond to it. But, I don't think necessarily there are huge benefits to what's happened to them this season in terms of the FA Cup. Fantastic. But there can be a drop off when that comes to an end.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point, actually. I mean, and that's something, to be fair, not wanting to make it all about us, but it went back to obviously when we had our FA Cup run a couple of years ago, where, we played against Coventry in front of 25,000, and before you know it, we're playing in front of about 700-800 against Dover. But you know what? George Elokobi handled that so well, he did, because he made it very clear to the players straight after that Coventry game, we've got to attack the National League South. All the players shook their heads, they did, thinking, we know what we've got to do now is make sure we get back on the league. And they went on an unbelievable run after that. So it does, it all starts from the manager and the attitude of the players. So I would I think you're right. I think I'd be interested to see if it does come to an end against Brentford, can they, take that, as momentum and think, okay, that's over. Let's go finish in the top 7 and make this a real season to remember. Because that's the thing, because no one wants to remember just for an FA Cup run. what a story to tell for Macclesfield fans if they've had an FA Cup and get to the 4th round and and go and get promoted, or even get to a player final. That would be a fantastic achievement for them. So yeah, it's going to be a hard one for them, but I'm sure John Rooney's got in the back of his mind. He's very capable, I think, of doing that. Just moving away from that, in another game down at the bottom of the table, Southport, big win against Bedford Town, last minute winner from Jordan Slew. What are we thinking about that? It's a huge 3 points for them because they've really been down the bottom pretty much all season, haven't they?
Yeah, I mean, at Southport did stage something of a recovery, and they're certainly better off than they were probably in around October time when things were looking really, really bad for them. But I have to say, at that point, I was wondering about Neil Dans as a manager, just because this I hate to say it, but that thing of being a former, was he a Premier League player? He was certainly a very good EFL player. And yes, I know he's got connections. I know his son's at Liverpool. I think he's out on loan, etc. But I just wondered about how easily that they can get into the heads of semi-pro players and perhaps understand the challenges that they've got when they've not been like that themselves. They did pick up some form, and I saw them against Telford, and they came and got a 2-2 draw against us, and they looked a handy side, I have to say, but it has tailed off a little bit. Obviously, they were helped in this game by the sending off of Carl Mensah for Bedford when the scores were at 2-2 there, and Bedford will be gutted the fact that they led that game twice and were pegged back twice, and then just when you think, well, we're down to 10, maybe a point, we'll settle for that, and then you concede in the second minute of added time. I think with Bedford as well, Bedford went through a period, which no coincidence, it coincided with Nathan Ashmore coming in goal, where defensively they looked a lot better. That slipped away again now. They've started conceding goals again. They've always going to have goals in the side. I mean, Xander Zizibar's there now. They've got Tyrone Marsh. I think he's on something like 19 for the season. So I don't think finding the net is a problem. It's the other end. And having looked like they've got a solution to that one, it's not. They've not been able to maintain that. So they need to get back a little bit to how they were probably, a couple of months ago.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's a very good point. Just a couple of quick ones, well, and leave it open to the panel as well. Big one at the top, actually, we haven't really talked about. Fylde 2, Scarborough 1. That's a big result for Fylde. And that's right at the top table with Scarborough still having a tremendous season, still comfortably sitting in the playoffs at the moment. What a huge result for them.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, 2 more goals for Danny Ormerod. We mentioned this on our own podcast yesterday and said that normally a club at step 2 with somebody scoring the number of goals that Danny Ormerod is and the age that he's at, you would be worried in January that he's going to be taken away by somebody else. Fylde's financial might means, relatively speaking, means that that's not going to happen. That unless there was a ridiculous, a silly offer that was made, he's going to stay there. Their full-time status. I'm really impressed with the job that Craig Marn's done this season, actually, as well, because he seems to have dismantled the Fylde star machine, if I can call it that. I mean, it was always seemed to be centered around Danny Rowe a number of years ago, and then Nick Horton was the main man, and it all seemed to be the Nick Horton show. They don't have a kind of a big standout player like that anymore, but it seems to be more of a unified kind of team effort. So I am impressed with the job he's doing. But yeah, they left this one late as well, didn't they? It looked like they might have to settle for a point when Lewis Maloney equalised for Scarborough. But yeah, 4 minutes from time, Ormerod with his second. And yeah, I'll be honest, it's going to be as much as Merthyr are doing fantastically and they've not seemingly been impacted by the loss of Rees, I can't see past South Shields and Fylde for the 1 and 2. I think one of those, whichever one finishes ahead of the other is champions, are the ones second place and home advantage in those playoffs.
Yeah, it's so hard to call now, isn't it? What are we thinking, guys, in the title race at the moment?
I think listen, Dickie is a much more trained eye, and he's probably talking a lot more logically. I'm just looking outside in at the table, and I don't think you can count Merthyr at this point. They are 3 points behind. So, and there is 20 odd games to go. So they will feel that they've got a point to prove, that they can continue to keep up at that level post Ricardo Reis. And, you know, they are a side that's used to winning. They came up and they won last year. So they'll, you know, maybe they'll, you know, relatively pin words like that on their dressing room wall and take that into their fight. But I think logically you're right, Dickie. It's likely to be between the top two. But what we can say is there ain't anybody else outside that top three winning that league, because even if Kidderminster, Radcliffe, Scarborough, Darlington, even if one of them puts a ridiculous run together, there's no way that all three of those sides above them are all falling off their perch. It's just not going to happen. Yeah, just touching on that top team, South Shields, they just keep getting it done. All right, it was top beating bottom, 3-0. But worthy of mention, a couple of things really. Obviously not a million miles away from Gateshead. A lot of people returned to Gateshead last week, not Mike Williamson. He has gone to South Shields. He's offering his time apparently free, isn't he? He's gone there, Dickie, to help them out. And as we know, there's quite a bit of ex-Gateshead presence there at South Shields.
Yeah, there is, and I must apologise because I can't remember the name of the guy on the South Shields staff who's stepped back from his position. But Ian Watson, the manager, was assistant to Mike Williamson, so I guess it's just that relationship between the two, and it gets Mike involved again. And in a sense, you'd be daft not to bring him on board when you know what he's done. South Shields, I think, clearly being the assistant to Mike Williamson, and that Gateshead template, you can see that in the way South Shields play their football. He hasn't tried to, no, I'm going to be completely my own man and do a completely different style. He saw what worked at Gateshead and he's implemented that at South Shields as well. And yeah, they've got scorers, haven't they? They've got Blackett, they've got Scott, they've got other guys in the team who are very capable as well. So yeah, I mean, it's I don't see. I think Shields will be one of those teams up towards the top, or in fact, possibly even champions. Word for Leamington, I suppose, I guess, at the bottom of the table as well. In that as well, really, really tough season for them, and obviously Chris Knott has probably the biggest pair of shoes to fill in trying to take over from a legend in Paul Holleran. But I know he's kind of making some moves to bring in some other players. They've got Max Brogan on loan from Scunthorpe. He's gone there to try and help them out a bit. And he's a Midlands lad, so I don't think that's too bad for him in terms of geography. But yeah, they're facing a real uphill battle there, aren't they, Leamington? And I feel for them because they're a club which, you know, I've got friends there. I know people on the staff and players there that I get on really, really well with, and it's not nice to see anybody in that position, because you know they work as hard for their football club as you do for yours.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Shah, just quickly touching on, say, Merthyr. Obviously, whereas I actually agree with it probably would be one of South Shields or Vile to win the league. I think the thing to take into account here is that Merthyr actually aren't under that same pressure, though, that those two are in terms of money that's been spent and the fact that Merthyr have only just come up. You know, what we thinking? Do you think they've got enough in the tank to get the job done, or do you think it will be looking at playoffs for them?
No, they actually remind me, and I know obviously we were saying in the National League about Boreham Wood, and I know obviously we mentioned about Boreham Wood and obviously bringing the players in, and obviously they have spent money, but these kind of remind me of the National League North, like Boreham Wood, in the aspect where they've just been obviously promoted and they are doing very well in this league and stuff. Obviously it's different situations financially, but that's what it reminds me of essentially. And like I said, and I agree with Dickie and Rob in the aspect where South Shields and AFC Fylde, they are the two I would suggest, but you can't write Merthyr off as well, because like we've said, there's a huge gap between obviously Kidderminster in fourth and Merthyr. And all it takes is a couple of bad results from the other two. And Merthyr have obviously only 3 points off top. So yeah, you can. It's football, isn't it? Like, you can never ever write it. There's always going to be roller coasters. There's always going to be turns, twists, and ups and downs in that. But yeah, I would still suggest South Shields and AFC filed, but that is always a good thing if you are a Merthyr Town fan, if there's not necessarily that pressure and not as many people talking in that aspect.
Yeah, I think ever since like Truro won the National League South last year, it just shows to me that anything is possible, particularly for those sides that aren't fancied at all. They've got just as much a chance as South Shields and Fylde. So let's say money won't not make that difference. But it'd be what a story would be though if they could put it off. But it is going to be a huge task. So I will be to see, how they cope, especially when they play all each other again, because they've all got to play each other again. I'm pretty sure at some point.
And how the three teams strengthen as well. I can't say the name, but Merthyr Town have got a good signing lined up as well. And I don't think it's been announced yet, so it's not my place to say. But they are strengthening. They are not stupid. Whatever team you are in any division, you get 20 games to go and you are 3 points off the top of the league. If you're an ambitious club, you're going to try and strengthen and kick on, So it's interesting because I think you're totally logical, Dickie, but it's kind of stirred something in all the rest of us to say, don't write Merthyr off.
No. And just funny enough, I was just looking down the fixture list to see when those top teams come into contact with one another. And Merthyr go to South Shields in March. But how about this for a final day fixture? It's Merthyr versus AFC Fylde on the final day of the season.
Oh, tasty.
That's almost as tasty as Rochdale and York, isn't it? Is that what is it?
Do you know what? I am hoping on that point of view from that we beat York, because we never beat them on the final day, and Manny do scores, because the amount of York fans coming for me. So yeah, be careful what you wish for, York fans, if there is any of you watching.
I keep forgetting he's an ex-term York City player as well, isn't he?
Yeah, he's played for everyone at this point. He's got more clubs than Tiger.
No, he's gone right up and down the country now. So
No.
What was it called? The travel man, isn't it? Travel player, whatever. I can't remember what you call it. Journeyman, that's the one. Journeyman.
He's not quite in the Jefferson Louis class yet, is he?
No, not Jefferson Louis.
Not quite.
Is there anything else anyone wants to touch on National League North-wise? Or are we all quite happy?
All good.
Yeah, no, I think we've covered the main points there. I suppose Marines 4-0 defeat at Buxton was a little bit of a surprise given Marines' recent form. But at the same time, Buxton aren't a bad outfit at home, full-time effort, so full-time outfit. So yes, I think we've covered the big stories in the North this week, really.
Perfect. All right, Sam, put us onto the league table. So at the top, we've got South Shields on 59 points. AFC Fylde sitting second with 57 points. And just below them is Merthyr on 56 points. Kidderminster Harriers are fourth on 47 points. Radcliffe fifth on 43 points. Scarborough Athletic sixth on 40 points. And Darlington sitting seventh on 39 points. And sitting in the bottom four, we have Hereford, 21st on 22 points. Peterborough Sports at 22nd on 22 points. Alfreton Town at 23rd on 22 points. And bottom of the table are Leamington on 14 points. And that brings an end to the non-league podcast for tonight. Sam, thank you very much for sitting in once again for the last couple of hours. You absolute star, man. I'll leave you to finish us off.
You're welcome. It's a pleasure getting to sit here live, listen to you all guys. So fantastic job again, Ben, with the hosting. Massive round of applause to Ben, who's been smashing it on the hosting side. And thank you to everybody for joining us tonight for the absolutely non-league show. Just want to shout everybody out who's here. We will leave certain person till last. So sorry, Shah, you're gonna have to wait a minute. But Rob, thank you very much for joining us tonight. And of course, as we mentioned earlier, you got that fantastic show out with NL Full Time last week. There was the quiz the week before. So please shout that out yourself. Where can everybody find your wonderful content?
Yeah, at NL Full Time on all the podcast platforms. If you put that in, we should come up. Shah definitely got to listen to this week's because A, we had Scotty Davis on, And we also spoke to Alex Reed, who you said you were a fan of as well.
I am. Love that.
So, yeah, no, that was brilliant. Thank you for having me, guys. All I'll say is this. I think done, I don't know, 8, 9, 10, 12 of these or something now. This might just be my favourite one, other than when I came on with my Wembley winners hat on. That's largely because I timed it right. I got to talk about a cracking Aldershot away victory, and somebody very special to us all returned. Thank you, Shah. Great to see you.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, absolutely echo that. And thank you so much, Dickie, for coming on, talking to us. A fabulous result for you. And thank you for letting us in on all your National League North knowledge. Where can everybody find you and check you out?
Well, I'm on the NL Full-Time podcast with Rob. You can find, you can find me commentating with the BBC sometimes. If you fancy listening to a game tomorrow night, then BBC Radio Shropshire's carrying the Hornchurch versus AFC Telford FA Trophy game. So if you've not had enough of my voice over the last half an hour or so, you can get a bit more of it tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. Wonderful. Do check that out. And of course, the host with the most, Mr. Ben. Wonderful, of course, to have you again. Where can everybody find you? And where are Maidstone this weekend?
Well, we've got Hemel Hempstead at home this weekend, so another big one. Then we got followed by Kent Derby against Ebbsfleet, which we really need to win. So, and then the thing is that we've got 2 Tuesdays in a row. So we've got them in the Kent Senior Cup tomorrow as well. So yeah, all coming thick and fast. But if you want to find me on Twitter, it's Ben Stones FC1.
Wonderful. Check Ben out. And it's absolutely wonderful, amazing. We've missed you thoroughly, Shah. I've missed you. The team's missed you. Everybody's missed you. Everybody in the chat has been missing you. So I think I speak for everybody when it's an absolute pleasure to see you back on our screens again. And yeah, we're just happy to have you here. So where can everybody find you? Because you've got some exciting stuff coming, I know for sure.
Yeah. First and foremost, I just want to thank obviously yourself, Sam. Obviously you, Ben. You've been absolutely incredible. I'm sorry if I get emotional a bit. It has been a little bit of a tough time. I did need a bit of a break because obviously everyone knows about my dad. And he's a person, I'm so sorry for getting upset. He's a person that got me into football. So it was like, I just needed to take that break. But I just want to say thank you to each and every person, whether it's yourselves, whether it's everyone in the chat, for reaching out, for sending a message. If I haven't got back to you, do not worry, I will get back to you. But it's just been a bit crazy at the moment. But I'm so glad that I did come on today. It's been so nice. Obviously, I will be back in the next few weeks. I'm not leaving, unfortunately, everyone. You're stuck with me still. You're stuck with me. But yeah, I just wanted to thank you all because obviously it was kind of a sudden thing and I just needed to take myself away from it all and stuff. But thank you for having me tonight as always, and I will be back. And yeah, because I'm not part of Her Game 2 anymore, I had a little bit of time on my hands. Obviously, I like to challenge myself. Do 94 shows a week on this one, usually. But I thought, why not put myself under some pressure? So I thought, do you know what? I'm going to take the plunge. My dad was always someone who said, no matter what you want to do, always try it. If it doesn't work out, at least you can't have any regrets. You've tried it. So I thought, do you know what? I'm gonna try out my own channel. So it will be. I know a lot of people were invested in my family FPL league, more so because I just mess it up week in, week out. So that is going to be one of the segments, and my family have okayed it as well. I won't be giving like full names and everything out, but I know a lot of people in the chat are invested. I'll be doing some prediction shows on that as well. But also, I know a lot of people know me for obviously talking about just life and my struggles and stuff. And I don't want to just make it about football because this is my main platform, what I still want to stick to. So I want to do it so people can relate. So I've actually got a panel show that I'm bringing out called Hash It Out. And it's about general like questions and debatable questions, like just off the spot, like breakfast, dinner, tea, and like, what is it? Is it a muffin or is it a cob? And that kind of silly things. And should the guy pay on the first date? And, you know, little questions like that, where I think a panel show and having all these mixed opinions could really like bring some really good debates. So yeah, I'm doing a lot of fun things on the channel, but that does not mean I will not be on here as well. I am still 100% committed because I know a lot of people have asked questions. I am not going anywhere. So if anybody was expecting me to, I'm sorry, but I'm staying. But thank you again, each and every person, because the support over the last couple of months have obviously been amazing, and just thank you. You're all incredible. And I know the internet can be an awful place, but it can be a really, really kind place as well. So thank you so much, everyone, and especially my Absolute Football podcast team and NL full-time team. You're all amazing.
Thank you, Charlotte. We're so incredibly proud of you. I think we speak for everybody. It's
Thank
wonderful
you.
having you back. And yeah, I think I've got through every single one of these episodes without a tear, but you've almost got me. So I'm going to have to check out my checking up. But it's lovely to see everyone giving their love as well in the chat. You know, I've got through all those shows about, and I even went for a Man United 0 Liverpool 7. That almost got me in a different way, but I've survived that one. But yes, I will be back soon on your screens. It's the January transfer window, but hands off. No offers are being accepted.
No, I'm going nowhere.
Sam, just before you do your little roundup, where can everybody see you with a big smile on your face tomorrow night? Eh?
Me? Wow, this is it. Although tomorrow is an Inter Milan Arsenal watch along, will I be talking about the Manchester derby? I bloody well will. Yes.
Should we just rewatch the derby, Sam? Just stop Arsenal Inter Milan. You rewatch the derby live on air.
It over and over and over again. Yeah. You can find me at Sam Absolute FBL, but mostly on the Absolute Football Podcast, if I get this right here. Oh, no, you don't just want me. You want all of us. We are 4 days a week. Yes, of course, Monday is the absolutely non-league show. Of course, in collaboration with NL Full Time, as we've covered National League North and South. Wonderful. And we'll be back again next Monday with more coverage. Normally on a Tuesday, absolutely Premier League show, but we thought we'd do a watch along into the Milan Arsenal. But yes, we are talking about the Premier League. We will be talking about the Manchester derby. And I have promised Rebecca she can do a Scottish roundup. So if you love a bit of Scottish Premiership, we'll be tagging that on as well to the Champions League. So check all that out tomorrow night. On Wednesday, it is Freya and Team Chaos, talking everything in the WSL, Women's Super League and WSL 2, and all the latest football news. And the women's, they did a wonderful watch along at the weekend for Arsenal versus Aston Villa. And on Thursday, the Rowdy Rabble are back. I believe Ant is in the hosting chair, talking everything the Championship, League 1 and League 2. Very exciting. 8:30 live each of those days. And we've got plenty of other episodes and stuff on the channel. One I which mention in a minute. We are Twitter Absolute Ball Pod, on YouTube Absolute Football Podcast, Twitch Absolute Football Podcast, TikTok Absolute Football Pod, Instagram Absolute Football Pod _ Blue Sky Absolute Football, Facebook we are the Absolute Football Podcast. And yes, we did. Myself and Ant did a wonderful interview with Watford, the Do Not Scratch Your Eyes podcast, which was a fantastic episode with Pete. Very exciting. Enjoyed talking everything Troy Deeney and beyond. Sir Elton John, John Barnes, Luther Blissett. It was all covered on that episode. So do check that out on the channel. Wonderful chat that we had with him. But yes, we are. Catch us live and catch us pretty much anywhere and everywhere that you like. So it's all that's left is to say thank you to everybody in the chat. Have a wonderful week. Enjoy the football if you've got any midweek games coming up. And we will catch you on the next one. Ciao for now.